Hey guys, so I'm on my commute again and just wanted to have another discussion, really a discussion with myself, but you guys could listen in if you want. I'm thinking out loud, and today I want to focus on authenticity. Um, it's really an interesting topic, and one of my business partners and I, we talk about authenticity a lot. He brings it up a lot as far as how important it is to be authentic. And, I believe, yeah, that's true. As a human, you want to be your true self. But as I started to think, I started to realize that maybe authenticity is really what is the evil in this world. And I know that sounds controversial, but I want you guys to hear out my logic. So, when we hear the word authenticity, we're always thinking about being our true self, not being fake, being who we are. But, as I have an understanding of, the four keys, our spiritual desires and our physical desires, a lot of it has to do with, our desires being brain chemicals. So triggers and the reaction of brain chemicals, what makes us feel good, what gives us these good emotions. And it's proven that a lot of this, or most of it, is actually caused by programming. So it's programming that you've either inherited from your parents and your DNA, or it's repetition or things that have rewired you with extreme experiences, or just the environment and who you surround yourself. That changes a lot of the dynamic of how your brain chemicals work when they're released, what triggers them, things like that. So at the core, there is you. And I believe the authentic you is really your desire to fulfill your spiritual desires, your what's going to bring you long-term fulfillment. But as a human and as a living being, we are driven a lot by our physical desires, by these brain chemicals that are firing. So now talking about authenticity. So say you have the belief that when you're born, you're authentic. And as you grow up, you have some sort of authentic personality, authentic self. But say you experience an extreme trauma, a trauma that has really changed you, and a trauma that has created some sort of PTSD or some sort of recurring problem in your life. Now, is that your authentic self? Is your authentic self this new person that you have become because of this trauma? Because you have these new desires or these new fears that are integrated into your life. Is this your authentic self? And if you believe that your experiences have created you, but we also know that it's not only these experiences that reprogram you, it's people who understand how to program people can reprogram you. I mean, there's tactics that I know exactly the steps to reprogram somebody over time to believe a certain thing, to fear a certain thing, to desire a certain thing, which is kind of crazy because a lot of people understand this. So if someone were to implement a psyop on you, to reprogram you in a certain way, to have a certain belief or to have certain reactions chemically in your brain, is this your authentic self? Is this new you the authentic self? Or is it the person that you were before? So that's the dilemma. Because if our authentic self is purely taking our experiences, our programming, and living life in a pattern of action reaction and a pattern of trigger and feelings, then those who have the tools to reprogram you, those who have the ability to shape your mind in a certain way, are now dictating your authenticity. You may not have before found stimulation in something that you do today, but that could have been because of some sort of repetition of feeding you something through the scrolling, through the media, or something else. So is this your authentic self? Because you feel good when that happens, does that mean that it's authentic for you to want to do it? If you're an alcoholic, is it inauthentic to try to stop drinking? Or is it authentic to embrace your alcoholism and be a drunk? right? So now lies the dilemma. What is authenticity? Is authenticity who we were before or who we were after we've changed? And we're all being changed. We're all being constantly reprogrammed. If you don't understand the tactics and the ways that you can be reprogrammed, then you're really like a computer without an antivirus. You have the ability to be changed and manipulated by all sorts of evil in this world. And if that's happening and you honestly believe that you should be authentic, which means I should just act on impulse. If I feel this way, I should act this way. If I have this belief, even though I don't know where this belief came from, I should be this way because this is my true self. I'm not hiding. I'm not trying to change myself. Is that being authentic? If your true self has some sort of trauma that is causing some sort of degeneracy, even though you have some sort of maybe biblical belief or you have some spirituality where you're trying to follow the 10 Commandments, but you don't want to follow that because your natural tendency and the person that you are goes against that. So you don't want to be fake. My true self wouldn't actually be that. My true self will actually probably do these things that I really don't want to do, but that's just who I am. Is that your authentic self? So is authenticity the action of the accumulation of the subconscious programming that has been bestowed on you? Or is it the person that you were before? But here lies another dilemma. It is proven that since we have this programming in your DNA that's passed down from generation to generation, and this programming dictates when and how, at what energy frequencies, or if you want to call them triggers or whatever it may be, can trigger a certain response. I mean, this is all survival mechanism. If we didn't have this built into us, we'd have to reinvent the wheel after generation. We actually will hold on to some important things, especially with traumatic events, so we know to avoid them so we can survive. It's a survival mechanism, and we pass that on to our children. So if in a previous generation there is trauma, unnecessary trauma, a trauma that may have shaped them negatively, and that is passed down to you, and you have these new triggers or these new desires, is that your authentic self? Are you just the person that you were programmed to be? Is that your authentic self? So if you don't believe that your life is dictated by your past generations, that you can change who you are, then the only true authenticity is who you want to become. Who, through your own lens, through your own intention, the person that you wish to be, the person that you hope to be, the person that you envision as your perfect self. You understand you're not perfect, but there is something to striving for who you want to become, because you understand that you have some of this programming that you want to get rid of, and you can reprogram yourself to get rid of that. You can change your life. You can change your identity. Because if you can be programmed to change for the negative, you can be programmed to change for the positive. So is authenticity who you're stuck with, or is authenticity who you want to be? So if your true authentic self is a person that you're striving to be, the person that you want to be, not the person you are today, but the person you're hoping that you will become one day, through the help of your higher power, through the help of your purpose. If that's your authentic self, then by definition, you're being fake. You are not being the person that you are today. You're putting on a fake suit and getting out there in the world and being a wannabe or a poser. But is that, just search your soul, search yourself. Does that feel like that framing? Does that feel like that? If you know who you want to be, who you should be, and you embody that, even though if your current programming is different and you're in the process of reprogramming yourself to be that person that you want to become, is that inauthenticity? Is that inauthentic? Is that being fake? Or is that actually you being the truest form of you that's possible? If you put out there who you really want to be, who you're striving to be, not the person that's been affected by trauma, not the person that's been affected by all this nonsense that's going around the world, but the person that you really want to be in the core of your heart, your true desire, your true spiritual desires, what's going to bring you the most fulfillment in life, and you put it out there that this is what I want, this is who I want to be. Isn't that your most authentic self? So just a couple things to chew on, just some ideas. But I believe that sometimes if you think that authenticity is just allowing yourself to act based on how you feel, based on your past experiences, that a lot of times it may not be in your favor. It may be in someone else's favor. And you may end up being a victim. People always believe that you are the person you are today because of your experiences. But if that person is not the person that you want to be, if in your soul you don't feel like you should be that person, is it authentic for you to embody that person and live forever in that state when you're craving something different? I hope this talk kind of sparks some ideas in your head. Reach out to me if you want to talk about this stuff. There's a link below. I'm always curious to hear other people's takes on it, so comment about it. Let me know your thoughts. If you want to, join kind of a movement that we're putting together, doing something really big by enlightening people with this kind of eye-opening stuff and helping each other grow, check out the link with the 10 steps and the Essential Elite. Until next time, guys, we'll talk to you guys later.